Hey everyone, quick few things before the start of this episode. Unfortunately, the Erothian Unofficial Spoiler Podcast is going to be on a small hiatus. With the holiday season upon us, my job has increased the number of hours I have in the week, and that makes it incredibly hard to watch the episodes for the week and keep up. And then I'm not even able to take notes at that point, and recording becomes a pain, and then editing is even harder. So I am sorry for whoever this may inconvenience, and hopefully we can get right back to it after Christmas. So it should only be for maybe a week or two at this point. But when we come back, we are hoping to have more community members on the podcast to come and nerd out with us about Delric's Fantasy World. I am just a fat black dude from New Jersey, and Steve is an agent of chaos. So there's no real pressure for you guys to know all the lore or anything. Just come and talk to us about the world and what you think is gonna happen, and speculations that you may have or hold, or even if you don't know anything and you may want to get more information from us, maybe we can give it to you. If you are a little bit nervous about some of your ideas that you may have, if you remember back episode 3 or 4, I went on a 15-minute diatribe trying to fight for Raerin's honor, so I doubt you can do much worse than that. And if you somehow do manage that, well, that'll be interesting. But anyway, thank you guys for your patience. I am sorry that we have to take this hiatus, but you guys been amazing with the support and always listening to the episodes. So thank you very much, and we hope to see you in the new year. Now on to the show. Hello everyone, welcome to the Erothian Unofficial Recap episode. We are doing Thronekeeper this week. I almost forgot what we were doing. But yeah, we're doing Thronekeeper this week. We actually, got some time to sit down and actually do it, which is nice for a change, I guess. And we're going to be starting with the episode 0s, then going to hop into episode 1 and 2. I will be doing episode 0. And I guess I'll start with Chris Ellen, which is the actual order. I'll give Scott a break this time. And go in the actual order that he set up everything.
Do you have to? I mean, we could just not.
I mean, we could start with Laszlo, but
I mean, chronologically, the order should start with Laszlo. Just saying, but
yeah, I was thinking about starting the episode with Laszlo actually, but I'm gonna go in the order that.
Better yet, we should. How about if we get Thronekeeper, we start with Cadus, because that's the real reason why we're all here. Cadus is the real protagonist of Aurorum. Just saying, Cadus for Emperor Provane 2020.
Excuse me, according to Messi, it's Rena. Rena's the only protagonist of Aurorum.
Yes,
she's I mean, antagonist, sure. She's definitely a villain.
No, I'm sorry, I'm misquoting him.
Okay.
He said the main character of Aurorum.
To be fair,
Rena is the only main character.
To be fair, he also said Cadus was a protagonist when he was waiting for Cadus to recover and he was sitting in that chair. Remember? Forget it.
Let's get back to it.
Yeah.
Okay, so episode 0 start with Chris Ellen starts off with us finding out a little bit of information about the jewels, which have existed in Eroth for a very long time, and in Escaria is where they have their biggest presence. So Escaria is a country or a nation on the map in Eroth. It's the wealthiest nation. They have the most magical resources, and they basically control the market for the entire continent, which is how it's so rich. And the nation is a plutocracy, which if you don't know what that is, I'll give you a quick thing. It's basically run by all the rich people. That's what plutocracy is for anybody who doesn't know. What's the saying? We also found out Escaria used to be a monarchy. This is a very long time ago. We found this out through an event that Chris Ellen ends up going to, which is actually called the Pildamal Annual. And Pildamal is the capital of the nation. It's the capital of Ascaria, and Ascaria doesn't have a strong military presence, mostly because they don't need to, because they sell everything. And if you want magical materials and with the wealthiest nation backing you for anything, you don't attack them.
Essentially, they are the allies to Eustace, and also they are basically the Switzerland of Eroth because they basically own the banks and they can bankrupt anyone.
Any country they want to.
Yeah, any country they want if they choose to invade them, essentially.
Two of the largest mercantile families in that nation are the Claude and the Glucine. I believe it's Glucine. I took these notes like a while ago, so excuse me. The Glucine. And they both have connections with Cresellen. Cresellen has taken a couple of their family members out at dates before. She's had them as clients before, so and that is where we will jump into who Cresellen is. Cresellen is a diamond of within the Jewels of Eroth. Diamonds are basically, as Daxi put it, fancy escorts. They are referred to as muses. And above that, even, Cresellen is considered a flawless diamond, which is basically the highest tier of diamond that one can obtain. I believe that when Scott and Doxy were talking, they were saying that Cresellen could have become I forget the moissanite if she wanted to, but she didn't want that position, so she stayed at diamond, and she just basically does the things that she likes within the organization that way.
Quick question, Vance. Didn't he also mention that for some reason, like, her ascension to diamond was a lot quicker than most people of the Jewels of Eroth for some other reason? Like, is either family reasons or her? I know she was special. That's why she was able to go through the ranks. Right.
I don't know if she had it because of her family. I think she's just because she's just Cresellen. I do remember him saying that, but I don't think he gave like because of her. He didn't give specifics. If you remember, like most of the like nobles who have like highborn children who don't want them, will send them to the jewels. So they're all kind of highborn.
True.
Anyway,
true, but it was something about one half of her family. I thought, like, I guess that hasn't been explored. So I guess it's
yeah. Still. If he said it, I didn't take the notes on it, but she's Cresellen, you know.
Because what's that shit in the lady?
Amazing way of, yeah, she has a amazing way of dealing with people. Oh, I'm sorry. Another important point, and this comes up in the future a lot, is Cresellen's house, which he said in the Jules Academy is known for having the best wine in the continent, which is one of the reasons that she pushes around Luther wine a lot, even though we find out that Luther wine is a fake wine, and B, before it became an actual wine, after it became an actual wine, it's a terrible wine. So, so there's that. And the setting for this episode, and that was all basically just Scott giving the rundown to Doxy and explaining to the audience about, you know, the what Ascaria is and how it works and all that. So when we actually get into the setting, Ascaria is having, the session. Ascaria is having it's Pildamal annual, which is just a large gala, just the high prestige and nobility and all that kind of stuff. And they actually have this every year, and the venue usually changes every year, but this time it's happening in the castle, which was used for the monarchy years and years ago. And because of Cresellen's high status, she's receiving invitations from all over the place, and like she's getting invitations from people who fell in love with her when they were clients and all that other kind of stuff. But she ends up getting an assignment from her moissanite, and her client this time is Vitus Sinara. Now, Scott changes the name of Vitus like multiple times, or how he pronounces the name, and I don't remember how he does it by the end, but it is Vitus Sinara. And Vitus Sinara is in his 50s. We established that he was Ben Affleck 50s and not Steve Buscemi 50s, apparently. Vitus is a part of the Maltese military. He has reached the rank of savant, and he was actually on the wall of Malta, which leads me to think that he may know both Elijah and Raerin, since they both know each other.
Didn't Oscar, basically what I said before, is didn't Oscar serve in the wall before, earlier in his career, not up until Session 0.
So from later episodes, we find out that he doesn't actually know Raerin. He knows of the family of Raerin, and that Raerin's basically a dick because somehow Raerin's name gets around, and most people don't like him in Malta, even though a lot of people probably should know him like that, but yeah, I don't think he actually knows him personally. Like Elijah, okay. It was said that Elijah and some other dude, they both know Raerin, but I don't think Oscar's ever actually met Raerin. He knows the Corvains though, and I think that's just due to his training. Like he doesn't have to be on the wall. So during the gala, and this is maybe why Scott was saying his name so many different ways. Vitus, because I was about to say Batiste, but Vitus has multiple conversations with everyone, and basically his conversations all boil down to trying to find out where and how to get magical components and the type of magical components that they need. And he's basically going about it the Maltese way, very blunt and just asking everyone. And he doesn't have that much success until Chris Ellen basically steps in and helps him out with her charm and all that. And she ends up bringing him to one of her scholars, one of the people that she's basically dated before, which is Renee Lucine. We find out that he's an alchemist. He's the way Scott was describing him is like he's very ones and zeros type of person. He's like a engineer who likes to talk about their job, but then they're kind of awkward with everything else. So Renee and Vitus both, start conversing about the magical components, and Renee is kind of like very reserved the entire time they're having this conversation. But Chris Ellen, through the use of alcohol and her charm, is able to open him up. She's able to get him to talk about some information about where they're hiding, like where they're hiding bulk, like the bulk of the materials, some of the bulk sellers, and all the other kind of information. So Vitus is able to get some kind of like information about where he should be going to get these magical materials. It's later found out, after Renee ends up going away, that these materials are for the wall, because the wall is melting. They needed to. He's basically in Ascaria looking for magic materials to help enhance people's abilities, so that when they use them, they may have low magical ability, but the components would help them magnify their abilities so that they are enhanced, basically. And with the enhanced abilities, they were planning on helping to refreeze or solidify the wall even more than it is right now. But because Chris Ellen was having a good time with Vitus, they ended up spending the evening together, like the way Chris Ellen always does. A little bit of sexy time, some bathing, and then massage. And this is important because later on we find out that this is her ritual for all her clients. Like, after sex, they will usually bathe together. She'll massage them in oils and all that other kind of stuff. Then Sinara ends up telling Chris Ellen about the wall and why he needs the materials and all that. And he tells her that actually, she was chosen as his date because of some of the things that she said in the previous annual, which is a year back. which, that she had that large outburst talking about how Amalta is great, and the talent in Amalta and all that other kind of stuff. He says that the Queen Lucilia is hoping to meet with her, and I don't know if the Queen's name actually comes up at any other point in the series other than this. So if you were wondering what her name is, and I'm pretty sure Scott may have forgotten, that is her name is Lucilia.
I remember one of the noble ladies talking about it. But another important bit of context for this is why this guy's having so much trouble with Iscaria is it's a blockade that the gnomes are set up against Amalta because Amalta doesn't follow their magical rules.
Right.
Also, I think her name was brought up in session 1. Recently, you're right, they have not referred to her full name, and I'm pretty sure Scott has it written down somewhere, but has forgot.
Yeah.
Knowing his style.
So
yeah.
if he listens to this episode, there you go, write it down again.
Yeah. Let's be honest, he's just going to be sleeping, listening to our sweet, sexy voices.
So after the date, Chrysalin goes and she reports to the Moissanite, which is actually, her name is Jasmine Jasper. She is an internally flawless, which I don't think is the highest rank. I think it's just well, let me say this, because it sounds very confusing, and I was confused when I heard it because of the way that the structure works. But I'm going to tell you what he was saying. So she's technically under Chrysalin's rank, and I think that may just be because she's internally flawless and not flawless. But Chrysalin still reports to her because the Moissanites are kind of like the admin, like secretaries, and they take notes and they deliberate information based on what's going on. That's my understanding of it. Now, from the way that we've seen Moissanites later on, Moissanites are at the top. So I'm not sure if Chrysalin still has a rank higher than Jasmine Jasper. But, this may have just been some confusion in the very beginning. It happens as the campaign goes on, information comes out. So this may have just been session 1 mix-ups or whatever. He says that even though they are different jewel types, they're considered equal and all that other kind of stuff. Basically what I just explained. So she goes in and she reports to Jasmine Jasper. She hides quite a bit of information from her. She doesn't tell her what he was looking. She tells him She tells her what he was looking for, magical components, but she doesn't say what the magical components were used for. She lies and says that she was too tipsy to remember certain things. She gives out the name of Renee. She gives out that he talked to Renee about these magical ingredients, but doesn't go further into more information. And then she uses all her saved up vacation time to go and meet with the Queen. And there is Chrysalin's session 1. So quick thing, the pirate, some quick things from that session which we may want to talk about are basically the tiers of the jewels, which I didn't go over, but it is gone over in this episode, so maybe I should go over it. The pirates are the laborers, the workers. Then you have higher ranked pirates who act as spies. They actually get to leave the estate. They get to act as spies, and basically they're laborers also, but they actually get to leave. Then you have the citrines, which are merchants. They trade goods made by laborers and with partners of organizations. You have the Ambers, who are clerics and chroniclers. Of course, the higher ranked ones get hired out.
I think you mean
Then
clerks rather than clerics, but yeah.
clerks, yeah, I meant clerks, not clerics.
It'd be freaking funny.
It's D&D, okay?
I know, but it's just a fucking funny image to have.
The funny thing is, I wrote clerks, and then I still said clerics because I was thinking D&D wise. But yeah, clerks. They're clerks and chroniclers. They're not clerics. They get hired. The higher ranked ones get hired out, but the regular ranked ones are kind of like librarians. They know the information. They can pick out the information and they can deliver it out when needed. Then, of course, you have the diamonds, who are basically what Chris Allen knows. They act as escorts, basically to get information and bring that information back to the jewels. Then you have the rubies, who also are under the guise of diamonds, but they are assassins. This is an eternal secret, and it is not to be known under punishment of death. And then you have the Moistenites, who are the administration at the top, basically, which is why I was a little bit confused on some of his reasoning, but he may go into that in Discord if you care to look. Also, Chris Allen doesn't use her ride check often for riding horses. I think
the time we're recording this, I think it's the first time she's used it.
Yeah, I was gonna say that the first time she used it was actually the crossover between Regicide and Thronekeeper, where she actually rode a horse for once. So,
yeah. Also, I want to say, the whole Ruby secret thing, that's been talked about a lot recently. Their existence. Let's see. I'm not going to name it now because if people are trying to catch up through this, they probably won't recognize these names. But it's been out there. So yeah, that's gonna be interesting. Nothing too dangerous at the moment, as long as things are kept secret.
When are things ever kept secret, though?
Huh?
When are things ever kept secret, though?
I mean, Kingmaker is pretty good. Regicide is paranoid and just doesn't say shit. Thronekeeper are pretty trusting. But
I would say high information gathering organizations probably already know about rubies.
Yes, I would agree to that. I feel like because someone has to, there has to be someone has to purchase the services of a ruby for the rubies to have some sort of value. So their existence has to be known to a select few, and I'm pretty sure it's a high price. It's not like I don't think the houses themselves say, okay, we'll send a ruby out to do whatever other motivation. I'm pretty sure it's like someone's like, hey, I need a ruby, or like I need a diamond, quote quote, or I need a pyrite, quote quote,
or I just need someone to die. You know, you say,
yeah,
you don't ask for a hitman. You just go, if this guy was offed, that sure would make things a lot easier.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure if someone employs a ruby, they know they're employing a ruby. They won't basically, I'll request a diamond and then get a ruby without knowing. Unless they're being hired by another employer.
Or unless the ruby's targeting a person trying to hire a diamond.
Yeah, that's the thing. So, I think that's probably the case. That high secrets. I wouldn't say secret societies, but basically like intelligence gathering, top government officials are somewhat aware of the existence of rubies.
I wouldn't say just somewhat. I would say they are aware of them. It's just the general public doesn't need to know about it because it would cause
it would probably hurt the Jewels of Eros, like, because people won't know who they're ordering. But when I mean like somewhere, I mean like where they exist, but they don't know which house is a ruby. Is what I'm saying.
Yeah, I agree.
I mean, it wouldn't. I would say more that it's a case of not necessarily that they don't know who they're hiring. It's like, oh fuck, we've got to be careful now about every single jewel that comes by, because every single jewel could be a ruby. It's not so much like, oh, I don't know what I'm hiring in this thing, because they're pretty upfront with who they're hiring and that sort of thing. It's just everyone else who knows they're a jewel will go, oh, this one could probably kill me. Well, this one's probably here to kill someone or something like that, which should be the concern, I guess.
Yeah. I'm guessing like organizations like the CIA know that rubies exist and they hire out rubies. And that's about, so I'm guessing rubies aren't that huge of an organization, but whatever. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe there's an entire network of rubies. I mean, entire like nation worth of rubies.
I wouldn't. Yeah, I wouldn't say it's probably huge.
I mean, Valorant's a nation.
Yeah, I would probably say that there are probably few rubies, but they're very well specialized and costly.
Mm-hmm.
Which imagine it goes up in the pyramid. Like the higher you go in the pyramid, like there's less diamonds than there are pyrites, but because of their rarity, but also the skills needed.
Mm-hmm,
So, but that just makes their cost even more so. That's how I choose to perceive it. The higher you're up, you try to order for services within Jewels of Eroth, the less number they are, but the more specialized they are.
Yeah, I agree with that. Okay, well, moving on to Oscar. Oscar is a member of the Maltese military. He begins actually because he's not anymore, but he begins as a Venator Magi. In the Maltese military, there are multiple branches. Two of them being the Venators and the Gish. I don't know if he went over any other types. I know he definitely said Venator and the Gish, but
he mentioned Venator. There, I forgot the name of the other one, but I know there is one that basically is like very defensive against magics being thrown. They use shields. I don't know what Scott named them. So Gish, Venator. There's the Prequellum that we learn later, which are Secret Service. By the way, Venators are monster hunters or mage hunters, and
they deal with the magical problems.
Yeah. Gish are spell swords. We learn about minstrels, which are I think ice mages on the wall. Prequellum, like I said, or secret agents.
Maybe that's what
the other one.
Is it minstrels?
No, not the ones that. Minstrels is what Elijah is. They're basically the ice mages on the wall. So even more highly specialized.
So apparently there are multiple.
As far as I know, there is 5 branches of the Maltese military. If our count is correct. We just don't remember the people who are the anti-magic shields, like are focused on abjuration and protecting against magic. I forgot their names.
Mm-hmm.
I'm pretty sure Scott knows, or forgot the name. Actually, I'm probably my message.
I mean, you'd hope so.
But anyway, the ranks in the military are all the same. They follow the apprentice, which is basically what you are before you even do a mission. And many of these missions are basically called getting your teeth cut, cutting your teeth on becoming higher up. Then you become a hedge, then you become a magi, and then a master. And then the officers are magisters and savants. There are only 2 there, but I'm guessing there are different tiers for those as well. And above these, actually, there are 6 ranks of sorcerer bloodlines. He didn't go over what they were, because something that important I would have written down. But there are 6 ranks, and they're just sorcerer bloodlines. And I'm guessing they're specialized families, and those may be families of Amolta, but I don't remember. And military service is a requirement for all Maltese citizens for 2 years. Usually it's non-combative. They, if you see combat, you'll rarely see it. Malta tries not to kill its citizens. but some people end up deciding that they want to make the military their career, and they may end up seeing combat. The regions of Malta, the huge military regions, are the central, which is the central region, which is where the capital is. It's actually at this time, I don't know if it's still going on, but at the time it was having some terrorist activities. The east is the ice wall, where a couple of our PCs have come from, and you have the west, which is basically their job is to wave angry fist at Eustace, which is the nation that most people from the Arcane Congress are from, because I think their biggest headquarters is over there. Also, their leader is the head of the Arcane Congress, and
the Arcane Congress and Eustace are completely 2 separate organizations. Just because their leaders are the same is nothing but propaganda that a Maltese government proliferates through the media. It's fake news, and you should all deal with it. Also, he won the election in a landslide.
Then you have the southern armies. Usually the southern armies are helping Juvants in the military defense against Paradel. And then you have the northern army, the northern station, and that is basically a cushy job where Oscar is stationed. They do have to, I think he was saying that they have a magical beast that they have to take down sometimes, but it is rare, and it's basically the cushy job. A lot of nobles get sent to the north as well. So Oscar hates being in the north. He feels that his talents are being wasted. The military sent him there though, because they didn't want to grind him down. It was kind of like, hey, you did good work, you should go rest in the north for a bit. But Oscar hates complacency, so he hates being in the north. Will was saying that Oscar has a hard time talking to basically citizens who weren't on the combative side of the military. So even though everyone has to be in the military for 2 years, if you're not on the combative side, he feels like Oscar has a harder time connecting with the people, with people like that. And that is when he receives he receives a call to go see Magister Kayvon. Magister Kayvon is his higher up. She's a Gish. She's very stern, even though Delric made sure to let us know that she was a lot shorter than Oscar. And she's talking about that she received a documentation saying that she needs a soldier with her recommendation for a particular task. She's thinking about Oscar for the task, but she's not sure. She wants, so she gives him another task, and she makes sure that before she even talks about what the task is, I think Oscar actually sees the letter on her desk is actually from the crown. He's able to perceive that there is a marking from the crown. It looks like it's written, if not in the Queen's handwriting, it's in her right hand person. So she ends up telling Oscar that there's a mission, and that the mission is that there may be a possible mage spy pretending to be a baker, and that the spy may be from the Arcane Congress. She says that she's not sure, she doesn't have the proper information, but she needs him to go investigate and find out. She asks Oscar how he feels about the Arcane Congress, and Oscar's like, in a Maltese fashion, he doesn't like the Arcane Congress much because the Arcane Congress is oppressing Amolta, like Snaga was saying earlier. So he has no love for the Arcane Congress, but she asks him to go and investigate I don't know if the bakery is prominent, but the bakery is noticeable for its strawberry smells every day. Every morning, usually in the morning, a lot of the soldiers will smell very sweet, strawberry bread, and it'll fill the air. And Oscar tries to piece together if this may be a spell of some kind or the reactions of some kind of spell or whatever. She says that she's not sure, but the next day, after the meeting, Oscar goes home. He begins prepping before he gathers his materials and all that kind of stuff. So the next day when he goes out to investigate, he scopes out the area. He's looking for entry and exit points before he even goes into the shop. And then he finally goes inside the shop, and he sees that there is the person is a woman. She has pink hair. I'm sorry, a pink hue to her hair. I'm not sure if it's actually pink, but he was saying there's a pink hue to her hair. And she's generally delightful. Like, she's very uppity. She's like, a nice person. He doesn't see her out like manning the station because she's in the back baking at that time, and he sees that they have a cheese focaccia bread, and he's like, okay, when she comes out, that's what I'm gonna say I want, so it doesn't seem like I'm being weird and just coming in here to question her or whatever. He's gonna say he wants focaccia bread because apparently Oscar doesn't like sweets. He's very I can't think of the word, but like I just can't think of the word, but he's very like that kind of person where he doesn't like sweet things. He likes blunt. He likes people being blunt and honest with him and all that kind of stuff. So
he's basically he likes being forward, essentially.
Yeah, but he also doesn't like sweets. And I'm trying to think of, like, there's a word to
Are you talking about sweet foods or sweet talk? Because
he doesn't like sweet foods at all. Yeah, that's why. Okay. Even though the smell of the strawberry bread brings a lot of soldiers into her shop daily or whatever, or she tries to bring them in by getting up so early, and she admits this later on. She tries to get them, the soldiers, to come into her shop with the sweet smells. Oscar doesn't like sweet things. That's why he points to the cheese focaccia. So when she actually does come out, and Oscar has been looking around for a little bit, he doesn't find anything suspicious at all. Some of the breads are fake because they're just there. So some of her breads are fake or old or whatever, but those aren't for selling. Those are just there for display. So when she actually does come out, she's like, oh, hey, and she goes up and she gives Oscar a hug, and Oscar's like, okay. Which is kind of weird. I will admit that's weird. She's very affectionate, and it is kind of strange. But one thing Oscar does do while she's giving him a hug is he checks her arms to see if there are any signs of casting, because he's checking for scars or he's checking for scars to see if there's any clear indication of magical use, because I think he has scars, but I'm not sure if that's because he was attacked or because he knows how to use magic also. But there was some reason that he
was attacked. His reason for having scars is that he was hit by some lightning magic.
Yeah, and apparently there are clear indications of use of magic on your arms and body if you use magic in a certain way. He sees that there are. He ends up touching one of like a spot that is typically like that she got from recently from a burn or whatever, and that's what like makes her come out of the hug and jump and it's like, oh, you're like really friendly. That's nice. She gets a little bit awkward after that, but he ends up having a small talk, and he introduces himself as Oscar, and then she introduces herself as Jessie after a little bit, and he notes that she notes that. No, I'm sorry. He notes that he hasn't seen her before, and and that's when she says, "Yeah, I've tried to get the soldiers in here with the sweet smells, and I get up really early in the morning to try to get people, the soldiers to come out because that's usually when they're doing their daily routines, or whatever." And then he ends up ordering the focaccia, and he notes. And then he's able to do a perception check and notes that while she's like when she goes in the back and she's trying to sell him that, try to prepare the focaccia for sale, that everything is a lot shorter for a human. Like she has to basically bend over to like chop things, and the stove is a lot lower than it would be comfortable for a human, and like everything is like made for really a lot smaller people. And
was she halfling or was she human?
No, she's human.
Oh, okay, she's human.
Yeah. They were saying that it's possibly small enough for Hafue though, because like Hafue are bigger than gnomes, so he was saying that it looks like it might be comfortable enough for Hafue, but a little bit too big for a gnome. And Oscar begins to think that, because Hafui have these appearance changing magics. Oh, some of them do. Some of them use their appearance changing magics or whatever, transmutation magics, that she might just be altering her appearance to look human, and she may not actually be human. So Oscar takes his order and leave. After he goes home, he drops off his bread or whatever. He then goes back to Kayvon, and he's telling her basically everything he's found out. He didn't find any signs that action needed to be taken immediately. He tells her that the station is smaller than normal. Her demeanor is very cheery. He lets her know that she has some Hafue tendencies by with the pink streaks in her hair or the hue in her hair, and he says he has a little bit of suspicions, but nothing solid enough to go off of. And that's when she says that the entire mission was a ruse. It was just to understand how Oscar's mentality was and if he would act too rashly. She lets him know that the shop was previously owned by a Hafue family who sold the shop to that woman, Jessie, for on the cheap, basically, because they were family friends, and that the woman actually has no ties to the Arcane Congress. She tells Oscar that she's extremely happy that he didn't do anything rash, because she doesn't know if she'd be able to live with herself if she got an innocent woman and Amilta killed. She ends up letting Oscar read the letter, and it is basically detailing that a former Arcane Congress member has deserted the Arcane Congress and has come to Amilta to seek an asylum, and Amilta's assistance against the Arcane Congress. And she says that she needed to make sure that Oscar went in with a clear head, and that his disdain for the Arcane Congress wasn't going to cloud any of his judgment. After that, she promotes him to a Master Venator, and they basically after Kayvon apologizes, Oscar sees that she's being genuine about it, and he forgives her for the whole ordeal. And then he goes off and prepares to leave for the capital. So any comments on Oscar right now? Or?
Honestly, that was kind of surprising about that she kind of tricked him that it was a test. Because when I first saw it, I was like, oh, this is complete. Like, if she's setting him, like, she probably has solid information that would lead her to believe that there is a chance that this person could be a member of the Arcane Congress. So that was pretty interesting. And it kind of gives you an idea of the Maltese military's mindset, I guess, a bit.
Well, she did feel a lot of remorse about it, so I think that gives a lot more. Yeah.
Like, yes, remorse definitely, but I'm talking about like I'm not talking about like I'm not referring that she was remorseless, but I feel like like my understanding of Muslim military, correct me if I'm wrong, that they're yes, they're still human beings. Yes, they still have emotion. They still have a good degree honor, more honorable than most countries. That I would say so, but they're also prepared to do anything in the name of their country. Like, not everything's like basically everything's like they'll consider like possibilities that are considered less honorable, less the Maltese way, because to them it's more about the survival of their country, how like surviving because they're patriots. It's like, yes, we have a degree of honor, yes, we are just people, but more is that we are Maltese and we want to make sure what we do is for the best of our country, and if that means doing things unsavory, we have to at least have that on the table. Yes.
Yeah, I can see that.
So it's different from Parendale's military, where Parendale's military, Parendale's military is I mean, like more so. I wouldn't say Parendale's military is honorable, but they're very lawful. They're very strict, militant, patriotic, strict and militant.
I think you're basing that off of two people.
No,
I would agree with that.
they're not. They're not just. They're not honorable. I'm talking about like. I'm also considering Barnes another way. But
okay, three people. Because remember the guy who sent the assassins to go kill Leon. They didn't reprimand him for that.
Like, I know. I'm not talking about like within like what they do against. Let me do what they do again. Like, I'm talking about also the soldiers. What the officers do in war. A lot of things are permitted, and they're more easily dissuaded. That, but I'm talking about within their own military structure. I'm referring to. Them
but
being
they weren't at war with.
They're not in war. But I'm not referring to what they do outside. I'm not referring to what they do outside.
I think we've gotten so far away from Oscar at this point.
But I'm just saying what they do within their own. Basically, like what I'm saying is I'm comparing to, but I could be wrong. Like there's more to it. I understand, but like I think you're confused what I'm talking about, and I'm probably not articulating myself correctly. But yeah.
I mean, I can see what you're saying. I think Amalta has a very nationalistic view of their country. I think a lot of them do value the honor a lot, as you can see in Oscar. Like, certain things will trigger him, but he's still clear-headed enough to realize I shouldn't be doing this. I should do things the honorable way or whatever. So I think it just comes down to and plus they need to prove that they're not the barbarians that the Arcane Congress has been trying to make them out to be. So I think that's part of their mentality also. I think she just wanted to see if he was capable of holding back his disdain for the Arcane Congress. And I think the only reason she gave him that is because she was like 95% sure that he was right for the job. Otherwise,
like Oscar, like I would say like Oscar, as like the series go, he's 100% the person who basically reserves his judgment before acting, and would always, if he can pick the path that's least violent, most honorable protection of the name Malta, he will. But also I feel like he's also still prepared to do what is needed.
Yeah.
That's why I wouldn't say he's like he's definitely a lawful neutral person if we're doing this in D&D alignment terms, which isn't the best way to describe characters, but like I wouldn't say he's like lawful good type of person.
Okay, I can see that.
So yeah.
Let's jump into Laszlo, which is the absolute longest.
And most had a fun little technical issue.
Yeah. This one had that cameras freeze for a bit, but I didn't notice because I was taking notes at the time. So
for a bit, I'm pretty sure the thing's 2 hours long and it happened around about 40 minutes.
yeah, this is like 2.5 hours long, dude. I'm gonna try to condense it a bit. I'm gonna give you some information about. Okay, I'll just get into it. So Lazo is Lazo was a part of the Arcane Congress. He was a peacekeeper. What are peacekeepers? Peacekeepers are people who go into areas that where there could be concern, like magical concerns, and they try to either deal with that or reduce the concern. Their number one concerns, though, is to stop the chaos of magic from causing like rips in the world. Like this is one of the reasons that the Arcane Congress came into being. I believe he said it was over 2,000 years ago, but this is one of the reasons that the Arcane Congress ended up coming into being. Period. Laszlo isn't a droid, and he's a tier 3 droid, meaning that he's right on the cusp of being a savant. A couple more years, and he could get into the academy for it. He focuses on evocation with a minor in enchantment. He served over 100 years, and basically what Laszlo's job is to find magical artifacts of significance power-wise and categorize them, bringing them back into the headquarters and putting them away so they don't cause accidents.
Secure, contain, protect.
Yeah. If only the Arcane Congress was that easy. So when experiments go wrong, the Arcane Congress usually tries to deal with it. One of the quote-unquote mistakes that the Arcane Congress ended up creating is the seal. They usually send the Arcane Congress has been trying to probe into the areas of the seal for a long time. They've been trying to gather artifacts and research the seal. If you couldn't see, but I put that in quotes. And this is going to be one of Laszlo's missions. He's being sent out as I forget what they call as basically like the leader of a group, a squadron, and he will be sent out to Silencio and to get information and retrieve the artifact and bring it back. His savant is called Trilla Loxum. Her schools are necromancy and abjuration. And one thing I forgot to mention about the Arcane Congress is that they wear colors to signify their basically majors and minors in magic. Yeah, but her school of magic of study is Yavi. She tells Laszlo that artifacts need to be recovered. She informs him to bring a diviner, someone that can detect the twisted magics in the area, and that school of magic is usually called Huive? Yeah, Huive school. I don't remember how to pronounce it, even though I wrote it phonetically. Laszlo mentions his friend Halen, even though Halen has never seen combat before. He says that he's a pretty decent diviner, and he can get him through there. She says that's fine, and then she asks if he knows anyone else. Laszlo basically says no, and then she assigns Josan under them. One important part is
she's able to tell that Laszlo's nervous about this this mission because Laszlo's palms start sweating, and she says it's good because he understands that this mission, the gravity of this mission, it's very important. But she says that he needs to. She's been telling him before to go get his hands slightly killed, so that people like when he's on missions, he doesn't have tails, and people don't understand. People don't know that he's afraid or nervous or anything from his palms sweating. Then one important part though is, well, I guess it's not important, but he ends up spotting that Halen's file was already on her desk. And it was along with some other files, but apparently she already looked at the file name and she was going to most likely assign Halen under them anyway. Laszlo decides that he wants to go and tries to get his hands killed. He fails at it. One important thing is, like, a lot of these necromancers, they try to hide all emotions on their face, their hands, or whatever. So they slightly kill the muscles in there. Laszlo notices this because whenever he's talking to them, they all look at him deadpan. And I guess it could be a good thing because when you have to go to nations and you have spy masters and you have people who study emotions and try to read information off of you, you don't want information being read off of you.
Also, that's a good, great way to become a lich.
I mean, yeah. So, so the Arcane Congress has been working with Taziendel in order to get into Silencio. Now, there's a reason for this, and that is because Taziendel has been hiding the seal all this time. However, recently Taziendels have been having a lot of problems at their border, and they need the help of the Arcane Congress. And somehow the Arcane Congress found out that the Tazian people were already trading with the seal on the island that Laszlo's going to. So
I think you kind of got that a bit backwards. If like the Tazian were looking for the Sil for help.
No. They weren't.
Yeah, you got that. No, you're on this with the big one.
I thought that's why they gave them land, because they're expecting help, but then get it, and then the Arcane Congress
They were
found
expecting
out.
power, but they didn't get it.
Oh, okay, I got that wrong. Never mind.
Yeah.
Ignore me.
Yeah. So they needed help with a situation going on at their southern border. At the time, I remembered what it was, but I don't now. Some problems with their southern border.
No problems.
I think they did go to the Sil first, and that's why they were trading or whatever, but I'm guessing the Sil couldn't help with the problem. So then they finally went to the Arcane Congress, and then the Arcane Congress is going to help them, but they of course hate the Sil and they want to get rid of them. So Tazian, because they have very fast and quiet ships, they are to escort the Arcane Congress to the island where this incident ends up happening. One cool thing is that the Arcane Congress have like huge magical fields to make entire ships go invisible and silent. So nobody knew they were like the Sil didn't know they were coming until they got close enough to almost land, and then at that point, things happen. Some quick things about Joseon, because is that he uses a sword, shield, and he uses magic, not like a Gish. He casts magic. He doesn't cast magic on his sword to strike with. He can, he casts magic the normal Arcane Congress way, and then he will fight with his sword and shield when needed. He's not talkative, and this is not his first time going to Silencio. Halen is very talkative. He's very nervous. Laszlo ends up telling him to shut up. so that he can concentrate. and that is when the water elemental ends up attacking the ship. During that point, when the water elemental ends up attacking, Laszlo's teacher, Savant, locks him. She turns them into a cloud, and they are able to land onto Silencio, basically unnoticed at first. They travel down where Laszlo believes that they may be hiding the artifact, and he sees like a they're not buildings, they're basically, I think he was saying they're huts, like they're a little bit more structured than what we imagine as like huts or whatever, but they have like chimneys or some kind of not air ventilation, but like smoke ventilation or whatever. And so Laszlo and crew end up traveling down there, and they are able to infiltrate that building. Let's just call it a building for easy sake. They're able to infiltrate the building, and they're going through and they're opening doors and trying to get into what they trying to locate the artifact. Halen multiple times becomes sick trying to look for this artifact, because the artifact is, because the way that the magic is in this area, it's, to them, it's very distorted. Yeah, you know what? Cool. Like, Snagger just sent me a message. Homesteads would be actually a really good description for their houses. But so Halen ends up becoming sick because he uses detect magic and read magic and all those other kind of Pathfinder and 5e spells to look at the magic in the area, and he becomes like very disoriented and confused, and Laszlo ends up trying to take care of him a little bit while Josan is going through rooms and seeing who's, like, if there's any people in there or if there aren't, that kind of thing. Then they end up coming to one room where there are a lot of people in a room, and Laszlo just casts Fireball on them. Like, without even hesitation, he just casts Fireball, and explodes all over those people. Most of them die instantly. There's 2 survivors. Josan kills one quickly, and they try to question the other seal. So, quick discussion about what the seal look like. They have dull, emotionless faces. They do have emotions. It's just very hard to notice because, you know, it's kind of like the necromancers. They don't kill their emotions, but their faces look very emotionless. They have dark grayer skins. Their eyes are completely black, and they make very quick, sudden movements instead of deliberate movements. Their movements are very sudden, like they just happen all of a sudden. Laszlo threatens that more of the seal will die if the creature doesn't give them the location of the artifact. The creature doesn't give them information because he ends up saying, if I tell you what the artifact is, will you not kill more seal? And then Laszlo is not able to answer that, and then the seal basically says whatever, and he dies. But Laszlo's able to get like a sense of like both fear and pride, and this gives Laszlo a bit of pause, because he's like, I thought the seal were emotionless, like, period. They didn't have emotions, so how can I be getting this sense of pride and fear from the seal? But they end up pushing on, and I'm sorry, the spell was called Clairvoyance that Halen was using, and you know, Halen still trying to use Clairvoyance is it takes him some time to be able to attune to the magic, because it's like so twisted and dense and twirled up with each other that he can't really make things out, but he's able to attune to the magic in the area with his crystal after a little while, and they are able to see that one particular house, it's nondescript, and the distance is basically giving off this borealis effect. Like there's so much magical energy in there and it's condensed, and that's where they know that they need to go. So Laszlo dimension doors himself and Halen to the house, and they tell Josan to meet him over there. And Halen is once they actually get over there, Halen is like so mystified by the lights and all the magical energy that he immediately tries to grab for the door. But Josan, being A, intelligent, B, like a veteran, he sees that Halen is going for the door, and he immediately shoots like a crossbow bolt. He actually uses this 3.5 technique called Knight's Move maneuver. It's able to help him both make an action and move quickly while like teleporting. I forgot how to move the maneuver worked, but it's from 3.5. So if you want to look it up, it's called Knight's Move maneuver. And before Halen Halen does grab the door, and he gets shocked because even though he shot a crossbow bolt, Halen doesn't recognize that because he's so still mystified. So he ends up grabbing it. Josan casted a spell to split the damage between him and Halen, and Halen is barely able to survive because of that. Josan discharges the rest of the supercharged static electricity from the door by using his sword, and then once the sword drops to the ground, that's when they pull open the door, and then they see an entire room full of sealed children, and they're like, Syl can't reproduce, so what the hell is going on? And this is like, Laszlo's like going crazy because he's like, we've done all these tests and studies and like research on the Syl, and they are not supposed to have children. So he's thinking that Laszlo believes that this is an illusion used to confuse their minds or whatever, and he uses Agonizer's Scorcher. Yeah, that's it. Agonizer's Scorcher, and basically he just shoots it into the room and ends up killing some of them. We end up finding out that there was an adult Syl in the room, and they both Josan and Laszlo attack it. The Syl, of course, is angry because Laszlo just killed a bunch of children. He just murdered a bunch of children, and Laszlo was like, they weren't children, they were your illusions, and you tricked us, you were trying to trick us. And the Syl is basically like, the hell are you talking about? You just killed children. And the Syl shows this as much anger as is able to give off, and Laszlo is able to recognize that, but he's thinking that it's still a trick until the Syl basically drops his weapon, grabs well, we don't know if the Syl was female or male, but
I think it was implied she was female. Because it was,
yeah, I was thinking,
he described it as like a motherly action, I think, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, but we're not sure. Like, he never gave a gender, so I'm not gonna apply gender to it. The Syl drops the weapon and basically cradles some of the bodies and is mourning over there as Laszlo is like, what the hell is going on? Like, these can't be illusions then. And Josan, while the Syl is doing that, kills the adult Syl. Laszlo then goes and inspects the bodies to see if they were illusions. Of course, he finds out they weren't. And Halen says, Halen's like, yeah, well, these are, the Syl were stealing our children and converting them into Syl, and that's why there's a magical, like, borealis effect going on, and it's like this is the reason that they have this room with all these magical artifacts in here, so they can convert children into Sil. And then Laszlo uses a spell to detect to see if the children have magic coming off them. They don't. And Laszlo's like, I don't know, but and then Halen gives him a pep talk. Is like, look, you can't be tricked by their magical. They're twisting the weave, and that's when Laszlo decides, hey, let's look and see if there's actual damage done to weave. Of course there isn't. Okay, so some quick thing is that Laszlo ends up seeing that instead of like I was able to suss out what it was at the time, but there's no actual damage done to the weave. It's just that all the colors that like mages from the Arcane Congress would associate with different schools of magic, they seem to be clustered and twisted together beautifully, rather than like this is evocation, this is abjuration. Like, you know, they're basically weaved together nicely. And it's suspected that the Sil were creating these kind of magic, even though the Arcane Congress teaches that the Sil can't create magic, they just alter and twist it. So Laszlo and Halen, believing that these crystals in the room are the magical artifacts, they begin dumping the magical artifacts in the bag, in their bags to collect. And Josan notices that the sounds of combat have stopped, and then he's like, okay, combat has stopped, we need to go. And they're like, nah dude, like we didn't get enough of these things, we have to research this a little bit. And he's like, no, let's go. And they both somehow convinced Josan that they need to stay a little bit longer. And then Josan is like, whatever, fine, then cast invisibility on me so I can go and scout the town out. They end up casting invisibility on him, and they're looking at the magical auras, and they see that it passed, like when they feel their hand through the air or whatever, they can sort of feel the magic. It's kind of like smoke. Like if you see that the magic was actually reacting to them as smoke would react if you were to swing your hand through it or whatever, rather than regular magic where it's not affected at all by a person's movements. And this is when Laszlo begins to doubt the AC even more, but through the reassurance of Halen spewing some AC rhetoric at him, he's like, yeah, no, we need to just keep going. Josan sees that the people are coming back. He sees that they are bringing their dead back with them. This is an important fact later on. And he says that they're coming back to the town. They can't take out all these Sil by themselves. They need to go immediately. But before they do, Josan pulls out an item and says that Laszlo needs to cast the strongest evocation magic that he has on it. And Laszlo's like, no, because that is an enchantment, and those are opposing schools, and we know better than do that, because the Arcane Congress said that's against the law. And Josan says, yeah, but these are orders, and we follow orders regardless of what you think. And Laszlo is very, very like adamant about not doing it, and Josan is able to convince him. And as they're teleporting away, he casts his firewall, his highest level spell, and evocation spell anyway. And they are able to teleport back to the ship. And when they get back to the ship, Laszlo looks toward the island, and that is when he sees a huge explosion, like flash of just white. And he's thrown back, and he bangs his head against the ground or whatever, somewhere on the ship. He bangs his head somewhere on the ship, and there's just nothing but white. And until he finally passes out, and then he wakes up in an Arcane Congress medical facility in Eustace, and he's like blinking, and of course he has his eyesight back. And they're asking him, oh, you know, they're asking him if he can see, and you know, he's like, yeah, I'm fine, you know, whatever. And we see a Hafue surgeon there, and they tell Laszlo that when he looked back at the explosion, he I don't want to say melted his eyes, but that's what he did.
he essentially got blind.
Yeah, he destroyed his eyes.
Yeah,
it's basically watching a nuclear blast with no protection. Essentially, I think that was what the equivalent was.
Yeah, that's it. And he they tell him that they had to replace his eyes with the eyes of a seal. And quick thing that Josh asked, these eyes are the same color as the sealed child that was being cradled at the end by the adult seal. Like he looked into the eyes and he saw that the color of the seal's eyes. And so Josh asked if he can have the same color's eye, and that was basically what he got. So she says, hey, look, you can go to the necromancy people and they can, like, you know, help you change the eyes so that they look like normal eyes. And he's like, oh, you mean just like my hands? And she's like, yeah, exactly, go do it. And that's when he's like, okay, yeah, the Arcane Congress is just like fucking ridiculous. He's like, we just broke one of our most sacred laws of not mixing two counteracting schools. And she's like, I don't know what the hell you're talking about. All I know is that 2 months ago, when that thing happened, you did a great job, and that's all you need to care about. And she was saying, look, you don't need to wear one of the things that she said to Laszlo, and I don't know if this still affects him or not, but it'd be interesting if it did, is that we don't need to wear the scars that we have on our face. Sometimes we just wear them within and deal with it. Like, and one thing I did neglect to mention is that Savant Loxam has climbed the ranks of the Arcane Congress very quickly. I think he said she started out at a very young age, and then even for Savant, like, her age is pretty young. Like, she's pretty young to be a Savant. So she climbed the ranks of the Arcane Congress very quickly. So I believe that this is the kind of person that the Arcane Congress is looking for. Somebody who does what they need to do, and they deal with the emotional damage, and they just, you know, basically do like she said, deal with it.
Basically, it's more loyal to the Arcane Congress than their actual laws, essentially.
Yeah. This is when Laszlo basically sneaks out. So the way he was describing it is that he's in a daze, and he was walking out of the facility basically wrapped up in his own thoughts, and he ends up going to the docks, and he takes a ship which drops him off near Galderia, and then he ends up getting passage to Malta from there. But the entire time, people were using message to try to get in contact with him, and they were using scrying on him. But the closer he got to Malta, the less he realized that, well, the less they were actually using scry to see where he was going. I guess they found out he was going to Malta, and they were like, that motherfucking traitor. So at Malta, he goes up to a guard. One of the important things that he did is he watches how the people of Malta behave and react to certain things. It's not for a long time. He's like watching the weaves of the magic, and he's seeing if the weave is damaged in Malta, and he realizes it wasn't. He's watching people cast magic over there, and he's realizing that they're not damaging the weave like the Arcane Congress has been teaching all this time. And then, like, he's like, okay, they break their own laws. They basically do whatever they want, and then they accuse other people of damaging the weave, and they're basically lying about everything. That's when he goes to a soldier, and he tells them that he's a peacekeeper. He wants to talk to the king. He sits in jail for about 13 months before receiving an audience with the king, along with Venators and the council members. And he informs them that he wants to give up everything for the that he is associated with the Arcane Congress. The terrible things that the Arcane Congress had him do, like blowing up the entire island and Silencio. He mentions that they broke their own laws. I'm sorry. One of the key things is that the king is like, how do I know that you're not just telling me all this, to try to get me on your good side and then betray me? And that's when Laszlo takes his wand and he puts his spellbook out in front of him and he burns his wand. Of course, the act of him bringing out a wand makes the Venators on guard, but the king allows him to do it, and then he says that he's willing to give him any information that he needs, and that is where we end with Laszlo's session 0, which was quite long.
Yeah, it was quite long. And to be fair, 13 months isn't that long for a gnome, considering sort of thousands of years. But there's just a tiny little bit to it.
It's not 13
months.
Was it like
in jail though?
It was 230 years, was it, or was it 350? I forgot how old, but it wasn't thousands of years. Am I correct about that? Or
yeah, it was like 200 years.
Okay. Because I forgot how old.
No, because he's like spent 100 years, whatever, and he's still young. That's the thing.
Right. Because I know they don't. I know only elves.
So no, like
thousands of years.
Oh, God, I have to look it up. I'm pretty sure I was close to that because no dwarves get 350. I think also.
Yes, but 350 to 500, and I think dwarves are similar in that range.
Yeah, he gave about 200 years.
Yeah, I know. Gnomes and dwarves are similar, like age range, especially since actually no, I'm not going to say that. But by the way, Vance, I'm about to send you a message on something on Zencaster. Just don't say anything. I just want to see your immediate reaction.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah. Pertaining to a certain thing you said. Going to keep that vague.
Okay.
I don't think Josh knows, and he knows about that character. But yeah. But other than that, it was interesting. The Sill and the Gnome, because apparently that's something that I would like to learn more, because apparently Sill are very mysterious still.
Still a better kept secret than the Psycho, eh?
It's more like Sloko basically always tried to keep their secret, but we're having a point of view from a Sloko. So it's also part that they don't really know their history, but they're also aware of what they do and their clutches. But for the Sill, it's more a mixture of them isolating themselves, but also propaganda from the Arcane Congress perspective, which has been widely accepted by the Erothian community. But I'm pretty sure they're more than just they're failed research experiments. Like, I have my own theories of what they could be.
Well, in PDF at one point it was said that basically were rebels that were punished with experimentation, and that they were.
Yeah, but that's that still goes along with what the Arcane Congress says. The PDF. I remember there's a line in the PDF also says that that the gnomes were like if we're going to ancient lore, a mixture between dwarves and halflings, created by the mole. And I remember not too long ago, I was rereading it, and I noticed that there was also something else to the gnomes. Uh, Apparently, they contacted the Fey spirits from another world that the halflings usually have communications with, and they were blessed with something that basically made them more like I'm not exactly sure what was the nature of it, but but apparently the Fae had something to do with the gnomes being, I guess, more emotive. I guess.
Hmm.
So my theory is that that was the divergence between Syl and the gnomes. That it was because of that extra Fae. But I could be wrong. It's just theory.
Yeah, that'd be interesting to actually see it discussed a little bit more. But I mean, we may get that season 3 Throne Keeper. So
Or 4.
Season 3
Or
Throne
5.
Keeper. Let's be
They're
honest,
saying they're
guys.
going
It's
so
gonna be it's gonna be season 7, and they're still going to complain about why can't we go to the underground, guys?
I think you mean season 50.
But yeah. I just want so like Laszlo or even Chrisellen or Oscar to sit down and talk to a Syl to get to know their perspective.
That'd be funny, as if it's actually Oscar this one that used to sit down and talk because everyone else has got the highest stake in that sort of thing, and Oscar doesn't really have the high of a stake for it. It was just like Oscar's the one that gets to have the opportunity that everyone else has a
makes sense.
big freaking stake and really wanting to have it done.
I mean, thanks to Oscar, they were able to learn more about the dwarves, but that's another side thing.
I think that leaves us with session 1 now.
Yes. Unless there's anything else you guys want to talk about, like the Arcane Congress's use of necromancy, or
not really.
Whatever.
I mean, it's practical. It's not
true,
evil, which is cool. So.
I know it's practical.
They
it's
have plastic
not
surgery, so next best thing.
I know, but I feel like there's more to it. Like I don't know, but I'm getting lichdom vibes because like we haven't heard anything about liches here, and I'm just saying, if there's a lich, it gotta be someone in the Arcane Congress. Like I'm like almost certain. But
I mean, yeah,
oh,
but I think
how canon the freaking community game is.
I mean, true, but I'm talking about like true, but I feel like more modern. I feel like there could quite possibly be a lich there, based off not just based off what we know in the sessions, but based off some things I read in PDFs. Like there's nothing like concrete, but basically like tidbits that like I just a conspiracy that I pieced together.
I think one of the major reasons that they Scott has them using necromancy like that is just to show that necromancy isn't just raise the dead. It can there are other, ways to use necromancy that aren't just as evil.
Like in D&D, like revivify is a necromancy spell.
Right.
Mm-hmm. And I'm not sure if is like healing spells also classified as necromancy.
I think they're classified as evocation.
And I know Pathfinder.
Oh yes, you're right. Yeah, it's like anything that's like raising dead, true resurrection, reincarnation, revivify, raise dead, all necromancy spells. But like in D&D lore, they're like, oh, those are good spells given by good gods to basically save someone from the brink of death. And like, I was like, that's straight, but that still has necromancy. Like, you're still raising the dead. You're still messing with death. I like that Scott basically makes it where necromancy is not inherent evil. It's just a tool to be used depending on how it is. It's just the mastery of life and death. So yeah, that's something very interesting.
Well, let's jump into episode 1 now.
Okay.
All right.
So bear with me for this because it's been some time since we rewatched the episodes. so my mind is a bit so foggy, but I have more than just I had more details rewatching it earlier. So we begin off in episode 1. Basically, the party is individually arriving to the capital, which is Heplon. Heplon is used to be the gem of Malta. It used to be it had more glorious days, but recently, within I guess after I want to say more than 10 years, well, probably 10 to 20 years, it had that glorious Maltese capital has declined. It's basically more sad. I guess it is how Scott described it was like kind of like a sad painting. I guess it's like it's beautiful, but it's like there's a bit more grim to it. I guess it doesn't catch the fascination of the multi. I don't want to say Maltese promise, but basically there used to be more to it. It used to be more fascinating of a place to enter, but that has been decayed recently. Essentially, I think only Chris Ellen was the only one who basically recognized that. Other than Oscar, because I think Oscar hasn't been to the capital before, or at least hasn't been capital when it was during those glory days. And Laszlo, I think, was stuck in the castle, so wouldn't really have much comparison. So they all arrive one by one. Laszlo already there. He's been essentially. It has been. I'm trying to remember if it was 10 years. It was 10 years, right? Since yes, 10 years.
11 years.
Yes, 10 to 11 years since Laszlo has been a quote-unquote guest of the Maltese royal family. And essentially, the king is dead. The king that basically allowed Laszlo to stay is dead. His granddaughter has inherited the throne. And in short summary about a Maltese succession, essentially, they don't give it. It's not like it doesn't go to the closest born child. Like the closest born child doesn't go, or it's not elected. It's not. I would have assumed it would have gone to the most magical member of the royal family, but that's actually the opposite. Essentially, what happens is that because Malta is hugely focused on magic, like that's their main focus, but they do not want to forget about the common people who don't have that expertise in magic. So how they compensate that is by essentially saying the monarch that rules is the person that does not inherit the magic within their family. So it's basically essentially the king didn't have magic before, and basically kings and queens before him didn't have magic, and now the queen doesn't. And what happens if the queen did have magic? What happens if basically all possible people to inherit had magic? Well, then that would move to one of the high noble families, essentially. And basically, a member of them who does not practice magic or have any magical talent will inherit the crown. But essentially, that's something to take into account. Essentially, I believe it was. I might be wrong. Forgive me in this order, but I'm pretty sure it was Oscar that arrives first, and essentially he basically as a newly master Venator, he goes into the castle paired with his uniform, followed by Chris Ellen, and who is dressed up, and she's on her vacation in the jewels after being invited by the crown. And Laszlo is being escorted by his Ventor bodyguard slash, I guess, prison guard, if you want certain perspectives. But apparently he's very friendly with his the Ventors that are looking after him. I think it was like one or two that usually look after him, but apparently he built up a reputation, getting to know their family, and there's no hostility towards him, which I think both Oscar and Chris Ellen kind of picked up. I think mainly Oscar did. So that was very interesting. Says things about Laszlo. Also, word note, at this point, Laszlo has his goggles on, so people can't really tell about his still eyes that he tries to hide. And basically, quick introductions. Chris Ellen basically being graceful as always to everyone, trying to be nice. And then finally, they're introduced to the royal court and to meet the queen. The queen at this time, it's almost her birthday. She is apparently turning 16, and so she is very, very young, inheriting the throne. And apparently she only has, while her grandfather groomed her, she still needs to, she still has a lot of advisors that can kind of help her make decisions. And so, sorry, mind running. So yeah, so she basically has the advisors which she relies on, and Cliff notes that her
no idea how hard I was trying to hold back from. You better go catch it then.
Yeah. So basically, she has Cliff notes from her dead grandfather about certain situation and events that happened in his rule and that she might have to deal with. So they present themselves, and apparently, apparently, Laszlo has had a relationship with the queen because she sees him as like Uncle Laszlo. So basically, he's very friendly towards the it's been a while. Very friendly towards the royal family.
Royalty.
Yeah. So yeah. The thing is, he's not friendly towards. Well, I wouldn't say he's not friendly towards him, but more Savant Heathguard, who is apparently the leading military general in Malta, who's the right hand of the queen, and I'm pretty sure he was the right hand of the king before. Anyway, he's not there. And essentially, this is where Doxy made her big oops moment, where she revealed a
Oh yeah, dude, I forgot about this.
she revealed a major secret
I think
about
the
her
very next
character.
sentence after Scott said that he wasn't there, that she went into that.
Yeah. It was so basically Scott says Savant Heathguard isn't here, and then Doxy basically rolled. She did stun points, and he's like, "Hey, what do you want to do with your stun points?" Using the fantasy age setting, and she's like, "I want her, the queen, or at least the core, but basically mainly the queen, to know who I'm the daughter of." And he's like, "Well, he's not here." And it was like, "What? Oh, you mean Savant Heathguard? My dad's not here?" And it was a major facepalm moment, because that was such a big reveal, because Doxy's character is basically a jewel of Eros, and they're bastards of royalty, and she's Savant Heathguard's bastard.
Also nobility and high society people in Germany.
Yes. So that was so painful to watch, because that was giving away so much of her character so early on, and it was a slip of the tongue. Yes.
Yeah.
So because she was very confused with the situation, which I can attest to that. Basically, like not understanding this current situation and slipping up for that, I can attest to that. But like that much of a character secret is, I feel so sorry for her.
Yeah.
So anyway, we can move on from that fiasco, and because it was a shock to Josh and Will. So essentially, they are given a mission, essentially, an official one and a secret one. An official one they said in court, and a secret one where the Queen didn't want to announce in court. So the official one in court was to essentially help our allies in the south. Basically figure out what they need and basically whatever. But more importantly, they discovered that the Arcane Congress is supporting Perindel in their endeavors against Yovants to eventually get to Amulta. So their mission is to disrupt the trade of assistance. Basically, find out who the individuals that are getting Arcane Congress help, eliminate them, and then find who the supply run and eliminate that. So that essentially is their official mission that they give into court. And throughout this entire time, the Queen has, when she mentions the allies to her south, she says it with a bit disdain, because obviously, what I think Corsellan picked up is that he obviously does not like Yovants. He does not, and apparently most of Malta does not like Yovants. They're more an ally that they need, but apparently she does not like the way that they operate. And they are presented with a mirror, and which Corsellan goes to grab, and then proceeds to tell him the mirror is the memory of our Savant Heathguard. And basically she almost drops. The mirror mentioned that it's basically her father in the mirror. So that would have been hilarious if she accidentally dropped it. It was like, oh yeah, this is the memory of our Pride General who's currently not here, but will be very integral to your future investigation. Drops, breaks. Mission's over.
We'll get him next time.
We'll get him next time. Yeah. That would be terrible. So, luckily she didn't do that. And she is... So, essentially, they're dismissed. Basically, Oscar is assigned to be Laszlo's new bodyguard, the Ventor that basically watches him and would kill him if he gets out in line, which is essentially the role.
Yeah, closer to a ward.
Yeah, closer to a ward, but
it's because he's
a ward and a ward. No,
Leslie would be the ward.
Oh, so. Yeah, Laszlo will be the ward. Yeah. Essentially, he's the ward. He is Oscar's ward / prisoner. Yeah. So basically, Oscar makes the decision if, basically, protects him, quote unquote, but also if he seems like he gets down the line, we're gonna have to kill him. And that's his and that's his judgment call. Laszlo's being sent because he's familiar with magic, arcane knowledge, and also arcane Congress magic and the multis magic. So that's where his talents are, and the royal family basically has developed to trust him. And Corsellan is known to be favor Amulta, and would make a good diplomat. So they leave the castle and basically find private quarters in. I'm trying to remember which one because they debated either Oscar's basically private his chambers in his barracks, or Chris Allen's room in the Jewels at Eroth. I forgot which one, but to get
I
private
think they
room
went
to
to Oscars because he had the bread, right? That's when he pulled out the bread and was offering it.
That's what it was. So they produced a mirror, and basically what they do is basically they look into the mirror, and also quick thing about this mirror. I think what Lazo was to determine is that it's basically made of quicksilver, and it's extremely rare. Where basically it imprints the memories of the person, of the desired person, and it's like what they knew during that time of their memories were imprinted, and basically was used to basically help guide and advise an individual. And basically it's very rare, and apparently these materials can only be found in Ascaria. So how they got these, who knows? But more importantly, when the mirror is perfectly intact, its powers is indefinite. Basically, you can always go to someone, ask them questions, no repercussions, and then you get a response from that person's memories. But if you shatter it, technically it's more access for more people who got to move to a variety of other places, but it has limited amount of use. Or the mirror becomes smaller, it becomes heated, the more time it's used, and then it'll eventually dissolve and shatter. So they go speak to, more Oscar and Lazo go speak to Savant Heathguard, or at least his memory. And he basically asks, what information has the Queen told you? And he's like, both of them are like, she told us that we're helping our allies in the south. And he's like, Savant Heathguard's like, she said a bit too much from the court. That's what we want to say from the courts. There's actually a secret mission that the Queen wants you only for your eyes only. And what we learn is that they're sent there to essentially Yovance is going to fall also predicted within the next year. And if they do not change something about how they're running the country, then it's going to fall regardless. And a huge issue is the slavery. So they had to find some sort of solution to that, because basically it's killing them from the inside, because the whole slave rebellions, and basically Perindil's push is not helping that country, and it's descending into anarchy. So their mission,
they're not training the slaves, they're just throwing the slave
yes
at Peridot, which Peridot has trained soldiers. So.
Yeah, well, to give you a bit more history about the war in Yovance versus Perindil, essentially Yovance, how they fight is essentially they just amass an army of slaves, which a Yovan lord would purchase, and basically without any military expertise, they might hire a few taskmasters to do that work of strategy or whatever, but they'll essentially throw a large army of slaves, untrained, at a Perindil army. What I understand from what Perindil is using now is they're using mercenaries to combat that, because essentially if they use Inclame soldiers, then the war is slaves versus slaves. But they can have the argument that we're not using slaves in our war, which puts us in the moral right. Also, if mercenaries did anything bad, we could just blame the mercenaries for whatever war crimes they commit. So the mercenaries are basically an easy scapegoat. Yeah, essentially that's what they're currently using. They also Perindel also has amazing commanders too, but I don't really want to go and stroke some famous general's ego, and but essentially, Perindel has basically well-trained soldiers, arcane, well-trained officers, arcane Congress support, and are also, top of that, have mercenaries added onto that. While Yovance is dissolving from the inside because of slave rebellions and ineptitude. So they're sent to solve the solution in by whatever means necessary. And so that's their main goal, and that is their secret main goal, which they do succeed on their official one, but their secret one is still happening. But back to it. So essentially, Chris Ellen's a bit standoffish and doesn't really want to reveal too much of herself to Savant Heathguard. And basically, the Savant Heathguard informs them, as you travel, take your time and basically observe the villages you pass by in Amolta and even Yovan, and basically get an idea of what they're like as you go through. And essentially, after that, they end their conversation, and they figure out ways to kind of keep the mirror hidden, and then they leave Hepalon the next day in Chris Ellen's carriage. Was there anything that I missed? Might have been important. Because I know I made that.
I don't think so.
Okay. I feel like I made that very brief. But yeah. But
I think it's still at least with now. So.
Mm-hmm. But is there anything you guys want to talk about that? Anything particular?
Nothing that doesn't come out later on.
Yeah, because a lot that happens in Kingmaker is like a lot of character interaction, and sometimes it's what's going on around. I mean, yeah. Excuse me, Thronekeeper. Thank you for the correction. A lot of what happens in Thronekeeper.
I was like, why are you talking about Kingmaker? And oh, right, no, you mixed up.
Yeah, a lot of what happens in Thronekeeper is a lot of character interaction. It stalls story a little bit, but usually a lot of time it's important. I use interaction because I want to say character growth, but sometimes there's not a lot of character growth. I think the person who's grown the most is probably Laszlo, and that's it. And Thronekeeper anyway. But you know.
I think there's something that I want to point out. Because pertaining to their mission. So just to make it clear, their main mission, which was made official, and that at least what most of the royal court is aware of, is that they have to go in there and support their allies. And basically, the mission they were given was stop the supply train being sent to the peacekeepers are helping with Perindel, which they did do that. They basically found who was supplying it, destroyed, cut it off, took out people who were using it, figure out how it was being transferred, and so they succeeded on that aspect of their mission.
Yeah.
So it was not a complete failure. Their second mission, which is still ongoing, and I won't get more details than I have to, is a bit more complicated. And I feel like this is less about what the court ordered them to, because it's more what the queen wants. Because as what I understood it after watching that episode is the queen wants, without directly saying it, she wants some sort of change in the relationship with Yovance. because she does not like their allies, and she knows that they're going to fall continuing the way they are. So I feel like this mission that was given by the Queen is basically secretly wants them to try a different path, find a different alternative than Yovance, without explicitly saying that.
Well, I agree, but I think that's because a lot of the quote unquote adults, and I'm only using that, like, are thinking more practically, where it's like, yeah, these guys use slaves, but I mean, they're helping us fight off Paradel. Whereas she is more idealistic, where it's like, yeah, I understand they're helping us do that, but they're using slaves and they're treating
Yeah.
them terribly, and that's
That,
a
that,
bad
that,
thing.
yeah,
Which
that's why.
which it's easy to look at things idealistically when you are younger, and I can get into a whole discussion, but anyway,
Yeah,
that's
but
basically what's going on.
yes, but essentially, I feel like that's why she sent them to find another way, because she just don't want to change policy because of idealism. I understand. She wants them like find another way that we can support that's more morally speaking, but doesn't also endanger a Malta.
Yeah, definitely. I mean,
So
she's like 16, so she's not thinking about it like a 10-year-old, where it's like, I don't want any slaves, but she obviously knows that they need to
yes,
be they
so
need help, but
so yeah, which kind of justifies their actions of what they're doing, and basically it doesn't seem like what they're doing is not off, not what they're directly told. It's just the royal court is not fully aware of their secret mission.
right.
So
Kind of the point of
that's
being secret mission, isn't it?
yeah. They weren't told to they weren't just told to basically shore up the borders. They're also told to make some sort of profound change, find other options than what's currently on the path. So that actually kind of like rests some uneasiness with like the actions they were taking, which I fully support. It's just how it might have been perceived. It could have been perceived by the royal court but then remembering the secret mission, I'm like, oh no, the queen's keeping that one a secret. Okay, so they're doing exactly what she wants. So that being said, Steve, I'm going to leave it off to you.
That's fine.
Episode Thronekeeper, episode 2.
Yep,
by
episode
our
2.
handsome Steve Sleeve.
like Silencio's Steve's last name.
Steve the Silencio of House Silencio, first of his name, the most Silencio of Silencio. Long may he silence.
Rename, getting a country freaking name up me. Jesus, it makes maybe I knew James Monaco, Captain of Chaos, might just have to do it. Yeah, so episode 2. We have the party approaching Isaac, a small town of central Malta, leading towards the southern border of Malta. Because of course they're travelling south to Yovance from Hiplon, so of course they go through this way. I didn't actually know the spelling was Izhech, but so technically Lady Isaac's name is spelled that way too, because all the nobles being named after towns and that sort of thing. But
Wait, how was it spelled again?
Izhech. It's a weird spelling, I'll give you that. But yeah, it's a small town, about 3,000 people. It's not one of those lovely little towns with no walls. The population gets more dense further closer to the centre yet. It's got a beautiful, almost serene background feeling. Oh, it's beautiful, almost serene, but it's got this background feeling of doom and gloom with amongst the people there. It's also one of the older towns. They make their way to a tavern called Broken Stallion. Apparently it's got some decent renown to it. There's a stable next door, small stage inside where they find it's difficult to get 3 seats next to each other. And there's mainly humans and hobgoblins in there. And it's run by hobgoblins. And upon that stage, there's a parent bard. Really isn't getting that much love from the crowd. I don't know why, honestly, but I mean, he didn't seem to be playing too badly.
Totally nothing had to do with nationalism. Totally not.
Nothing. Kind-hearted Chrysalim's like, yeah, you're not doing that bad. I'll help get the crowd on your side and that sort of thing. So, she tries freaking singing and dancing. With it, doesn't really help. She tries getting him to change the song to something more local, and that kinda helps. And then she offers drinks to people that are enjoying the song, and then, oh yeah, I'm enjoying the song now. Yeah, I'll take those drinks, thanks. Yeah, I'm enjoying the song.
Hey, if you want that booty to be dropped on the floor, you gotta bring me some drinks.
But there's also this unfortunate group of angry drunks that are also giving trouble there, with one that was basically described as a Gaston sort of person. Conversation doesn't really work with. He's drunk, and Lazo has a fun little time of hiding his coin purse from him, making him even angrier. So much so that Oscar has to intervene. Spear drawn and everything. It's like, and his posse saying that, oh, it's a Venator with a spear in his face. Yeah, we're probably not going to get involved in that. You've got this, mate. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, that's a smart decision.
Yeah.
They also recognize his rank too.
Yeah, they recognize it as a Venator. They're like, oh shit, no, because
also he was a master.
Well, also Will's had it described several times before now, and during now that Venators are like special forces, whereas these guys were soldiers.
Mm-hmm.
And as Oscar quickly finds out later on, oh, you guys are soldiers that served time as soldiers, right? Ah, yeah, you guys served up in the north, the cushy side.
Up in the north, yeah.
Oh, no. Soldiers that have had a cushy time of it versus a Venator. Where was I? So, yeah. After getting a good little know your place from the Venator, he eventually calms down and they buy him drinks and that sort of thing. He's still not fucking happy about it. He's still freaking pissed about it. And he can't leave because he doesn't have his coin pouch or anything on him. And Chrysalim's befriends the bard. The bard's name was Petron, I believe it was. I have my notes here. Sorry. My notes are not as clean as others have been described to me.
At least you got notes. I forgot.
I've got a lot of them. That's the problem. I went into detail on my notes.
I hope you're not looking at me, dude.
Where the hell did I... Cause,
by the way, am I quiet?
You sound far away.
Yeah, you sound far away.
Okay.
A little bit echoey.
That's probably... Yeah.
Oh, there it is. Yeah, he's introduced himself as Petron, and he's on his way to Scaria. Trying to make some money on the way in, and Chrysalim's like, oh yeah, I'm from Scaria. You've got all these things, all these tips and things to help you get there and that sort of thing, and who to go play for to get your best, to get the best out of going there and that sort of thing. And they leave with the bard, and Laszlo goes and gives the coin purse to tavern keeper and goes, hey, I found this on the floor outside. Probably belongs to someone inside, and tavern keeper should probably find out who it belongs to. I've been watching a couple of shows and that sort of thing where something like that has come up recently, and something tells me there might have been a bar fight after they left over whose money it was, personally. But I mean, that's just my interpretation of it.
Oh man.
So they leave Gaston being really pissed off, especially with his friends who totally ditched him and that sort of thing. They go off with Bard. And Leslie ends up asking, so I've been in Heplon for a while now, for a decade or so. I haven't really heard anything. Has there been any new wars or whatever? And basically the Bard goes, well, Vala expanded. Yavancia's becoming more of a thing. Apparently there's some war in the east that's heating up in between Peridot and Delegas. And potentially even a fighting with Peridot fighting with Kajinxi. Apparently there's also one of Rena's songs popping up from a certain Patreon group that I think Naga knows about, that might be familiar with. Just saying.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
And that's pretty much everything the Bard had picked up before he left Peridot. So yeah, Laszlo's just spending a lot of time milking for information. Generally, they have a good time with him. Maybe, just maybe, because I might have access to a note sheet that Scott had for like all the NPCs people have met and that sort of thing, the parties have met and all that sort of thing, and just like, maybe they could have added that Bard Patron to the list, maybe, because his name's not on there.
I mean, Scott has to hand it to them in the first place for it to be used. I don't think he shared it with them yet. I could check on the Google Doc.
I have the Google Doc, but I don't know about the...
Yeah, because I shared it on Schemers.
I think you did. I think, because, no, it wasn't you that I got it from, it was from Scott. Yeah, so Petron was a person that went to Ascaria. That maybe if they're making up contacts and that sort of thing to get things with, maybe they could use that. But after that, so as they part ways, Chriselle basically goes, "Hey, use this to get a favor with Jules, so you can learn to use more instruments and that sort of thing from them." And they go on to, where was it? They're on their way to Brintown.
Right. Okay.
Where there's a little city. It's a lot bigger than Isaac, because it's got 13,000 instead of 3,000. So it's nice. It's got full taverns, so as well as full docks and piers. So it's pretty darn busy. Lots of stables, shops where the suppliers are at a lot higher prices, and generally a pretty loud place. Where
Wait, did you say the city they went before was called Isaac?
Yep.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. I haven't went through the whole spelling here, but you'll have to look at the recording for that one, mate.
Yeah.
Oh no! For some reason I thought it was a small village, but I didn't know it was a major city.
There's a small town called Isaac.
Oh, it was a small town. Oh, okay, so it was a small town.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So, they decided to go into looking for books and that sort of thing. I believe for Laszlo, it was a case of just anything on the general area we're going to. And Oscar was generally like, okay, if I can get books on like how the military and that sort of things for Advanced Works, I think it was, and Kassan was more into her craft for the books. Yeah. So they look through stores. They don't really find that much, but they do know that.
What Chris Allen read.
What gets that in the moment?
Steve, say what Chris Allen read.
Because they're looking through bookshops and they decide, no, we'll just go to the library that we know is in town. The library belongs to a noble family. So not everyone can just go there, but Chris Allen manages to get in, and meeting a butler and everything, and getting in there, and these statues. Not all of them are statues, are they? Essentially, that Leslie finds out that a couple of them might be something like gargoyles or something hidden amongst all the other statues on the way to the library. So I think that says something for their security. Really, if you got gargoyles as well as guards, I think you're gonna need an army to get in there if you went loud in there. Where was it? So they do get in. So yeah, they talk to the butler. Oscar offers him whiskey because he's got a fuck ton of military whiskey. And the butler shows them around and takes them to the library, where it's got spotless, beautiful interior, and Leslie can literally smell the magic coming off the place. Where apparently he's got this neat little thing where the moment you start looking for something is the moment the library itself directs you to where you're looking for. So it's like, oh, I think I'm looking for this. I think it should be over here, and oh shit, it's over here, and you don't really know how you got over there, sort of thing. But you've got access to books and that sort of thing. So Oscar looks for books from protective/power magics using the Fantasy Age system. So basically, abjuration ones, little spells you can try to pick up for that. And oh Jesus, a lawnmower in my fucking neighbor's yard. And so Oscar's looking for those sort of things, trying to learn a little bit of magic. It was actually Laszlo that was looking for historical, cultural books and military tactics and that sort of thing of Yovan's. And Chrysalin, I believe it was called the Roram Sutra. Is what she ends up finding.
I was sure it wasn't the what was it? Was it the Gish on the ice wall? Oh, Love on the Ice Wall.
I think that one was more recent.
I know, but still, just gotta do a call out for that.
Yeah. Basically, that Yovans is a very elite. Basically, Leslie and Chrysalin are the only ones to really find anything. I believe it was. Well, Oscar does find something, but he doesn't find out enough to actually learn a spell from it. But what Leslie finds out is Yovans is a very lead from the back, sending the slaves type of tactics, as Joey did go into earlier. And ultimately, it's a lot of fear tactics and unleashing the dog commissars onto the retreating soldiers if they try to run away. Yeah. Essentially, Jovan's hope is, we've got the numbers. We'll just use the numbers. We've totally got the numbers. Yeah.
Holy shit.
That's not working for them. It does spend some
Especially
time.
when that dog.
Yeah. I mean, at least it's not like a Malta or Eustace or even Scaria using the dogs. Because I think Scaria could get the biggest fucking dogs for one thing, and I think Eustace and a Malta might have some sort of magical infusion in them. Yeah, so there's that. So, and then basically Laszlo's like, okay, is there anything in the history that I can try to use to try to turn people around and that sort of thing for Yovans and that sort of thing? Basically looking up speeches and prehistory, and that sort of thing. And basically, Yovans doesn't really have much of a history of charismatic individuals. Is unfortunately what he found out.
We're talking about Landor is obviously charismatic, so convincing with his ideals.
So that pretty much sums up how they handle being in the library and this sort of thing. They also have to hand over carriage in Brintel, because they're getting close enough to the border now where if they tried to use the carriage, it would be too much of a, "Ooh, look at me, bandits, please come attack me, please." This is too fucking fancy, and that's the thing for going across. And they end up having to, they take it to a jewel estate where a pirate takes it. Cresseline gets lodging at the jewels, and Oscar and Laszlo are able to stay at the stable near the barracks with Oscar's military rank and that sort of thing. And because they end up getting a wagon from the military to keep going and that sort of thing, so they look more incognito and that sort of thing. I think Josh underestimated just how much luggage someone had, because it took them a while. Chris Allen wasn't very happy with the idea of having to be camping or staying at a stable when they left, instead of using her carriage or rooms, but she did end up having to get over it eventually. They're aiming to go through 2 more border towns along a direct path that the military provided. Oh yeah, a quote for when she was comparing how pleasant camping and staying in a stable would be to what she's normally used to. Of all the ass poundings I've had, this would have been the least pleasant. If you're looking on YouTube, it's episode 2, part 3, and the timestamp's 29:31.
Wow.
And I do think Scott was trying to make some sort of ass command or something after that. I don't think he ended up doing it, but oh well. It's just another word.
Well, this is I think he did, but I could be wrong. But this is a nice reminder for him to do that. That's a gem. That's a rare gem.
Yeah, they end up coming to some unnamed border town at this point, where because I don't think they ever went over it at this point, but during this episode, but people are suspicious of there's a Venator, a pretty lady, and a gnome walking side by side into town. That's totally a picture that walks into these people's sort of lives every single day. So of course they totally would be completely unsuspicious. No, they were very suspicious of them.
That is totally not the beginning of a bar joke.
Venator, a pretty lady, and a gnome walk into a bar, and only the gnome doesn't go ow. But essentially, this town's basically main descriptions of it were there's a lot of graves and a lot of scorched buildings, because this place has been hit by Peridot raiders a lot, as later episodes will show. And Oscar and Laszlo investigate scorch marks, and I believe they find out that it was electrical, like lightning based, and Cresselin's talking to people to find out what happened. Yeah, it was electrical scorching all up the buildings. It was more likely from a scroll, not a mage, something that Laszlo found out specifically, and likely from the age of some of the scorch marks, there's likely been at least 2 or 3. Like, building's been hit by lightning 2 or 3 times, apparently. So this building's pretty darn unlucky, right? Oh, lightning never strikes twice, but yeah. One of the scorches had to have probably also been a wand, apparently, according to Laszlo as well. Oscar notices that these people around them are really, really looking at the gnome, like really, really looking at him, like a "what the fuck is this doing here" sort of thing, and he ends up going, "Oi, stop gawking," sort of thing to them, and end up leaving him alone for a bit. They check out some of the buildings. There's a bakery, there's a barracks, there's a temple, there's a prison. Oh no. There's a bakery that's been turned into a barracks, and there's a temple that's been turned into a prison. That's wrong. So, apparently the last fight was about a week ago, and apparently the Malta lost 9 people. There was only a couple of losses on the parent side. So the people that are in command of the situation are in a town to the north and west from the Malton side. That's where all the molten response soldiers and that sort of thing are coming from. Sam makes friends with the soldiers, meeting in a tavern, to find out most of that information, I think it was. And they were arguing whether or not what they were using was illusion or transformation or transmutation. It's probably just justification. Oscar remove their tongues and fingers. Legs who don't want them to run. Basically explaining how to deal with these Piran that are blasting the town. Like, they're clearly using magic, so cut off their tongues and fingers if you catch them. Legs who don't want them to run away. And you know how you were saying that it's a secret mission, Naga? Chris Allen might have just basically told the whole thing to the tavern keep while they were there. With Oscar just going face palming.
Wait, what?
Yeah, no, that sounds about right.
Yeah.
No, that sounds just like Chris Allen. Yep.
Yeah. There's a lot of secrets that I'm like, here's the Chris Allen, please don't talk. Please don't say that. They're top secret anyway. People died because of these.
Yeah.
Like, this is not the worst secret being kept, I will admit. But it's the, I'll talk to you guys later after recording with the other two secrets that I'm more worried if they get out.
Yes. So after that, they determined that yes, they're not using fancy tactics. They're just using a lot of magic, like magical toys and that sort of thing. And people like the idea of them using illusions and that sort of thing. And basically, like no one's doing illusion stuff. There's no one talking about any sort of illusion stuff. But they do hear about rumors of undead to the far east. Around about the time that a certain pulse happened. Chris ended up getting a tour of the tavern after having that little chat. Having a moment of talking with the soldiers, and that's something that she's made friends with, saying, we all met at the tavern later for beers and that sort of thing, and that's basically where the session ends, with the soldiers walking in and Priscilla about to starting having drinks with them.
Wait, Kingmaker was in like season 4 when this started? Or almost season 4?
Well, I do remember it being a thing of, there's corporeal undead to the far east when that one came up. Because there's also, there's more of that side of things for that one.
Damn, dude.
What was? Sorry.
No. I was thinking that they were saying, he said that there's undead to the east, so I was thinking maybe that was Kingmaker, but it might have just been the Barren Lands. So.
No, I think that the undead happened just as Stonekeeper was starting.
Yeah.
Because I remember...
That's why I said, like, a certain pulse happened.
Yes.
Yeah.
We introduced Master Heathguard before Stonekeeper. And when he left... Well, when the Kingmaker did what they did, was when the undead rose up.
Heathguard rode back with one and saw undead and the mutant things.
Yes.
So he would have known about it.
Yes.
At that point, yeah.
Yes, and he was, and last time we saw him was before Thronekeeper. So yeah, basically the undead was a recent development.
Yeah, but I was thinking, damn, dude, because we're in season 2, so I was thinking maybe they started when they were like season 3, but
we're in season 2.
Season 3 or for Thronekeeper, we are.
Yeah.
Oh,
so
talking about now. Now.
Yeah.
Okay,
I was
talking about like what
we're.
No.
I
was like, really? We just skipped season 1 entirely? What was I watching?
Yes, no, every season starts exactly the same. Imagine if there was. Imagine there's a time traveling campaign where that happened.
That
To
would
be
be
fair,
good.
time was broken.
Yeah.
That's what happens when you have time run by the Emperor.
Mm.
So
He just really wants to mess with a certain boy who's managed to get out of there in time. So
oh man. But that's it for all the recaps. Anybody want to say anything?
it's definitely been a while since I watched and made the notes, so there was a lot of me getting tripped up on it. But
Oh,
Yeah.
Best quote in Throatkeeper. That in Oscar, when Oscar was talking to Laszlo, when he basically said he was a peacekeeper, his reply was, "Oh, so the most basically he said, yeah, I was a peacekeeper. Oh, the most dangerous, the most dangerous people, those who think they can keep the peace."
Yeah. Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, that was such a good and deep quote.
Mm.
That yeah, that's it's a command in our stream, in Scott's stream. So
Yeah, I don't remember the command though.
it's
it was yeah, basic exclamation point peacekeeper. So yeah.
Okay. I have not seen that shit in like months.
I don't think anyone's remembered it. That's the problem. So now, if you've watched this, you might want to try and see if that one works still. Just saying.
It still works.
Tried.
Just saying.
I've done it before.
I'm saying I see one of us drops it in chat for no reason.
I mean, I'm going to do it like literally today.
To see if it still works. Yeah.
So yeah, when this comes out, feel free to join in the next stream.
I know. Usually when we end this, we have like a question that we kind of ask ourselves, but also towards the listeners. I'm trying to think of a good one concerning Thronekeeper, but
yeah, I actually don't have one for Thronekeeper.
Yeah,
You know?
I would
It's been a
say,
while in the making, so it's.
I would say this. For everyone, do you think Thronekeeper's morality, because I feel like they deal with morality more than Regicide and Kingmaker, and basically they have so many conflicting, like, because they're in a very gray area. We're talking about Yovots.
I'd say the one that used it the least would definitely be Regicide. Use morality the least.
These definitely Regicide but yeah, Kingmaker deals with morality a lot, but we're also talking about
They deal with it a lot, but I think Thronekeeper uses it more. If that makes sense.
Yes, but uses it more, and also there's a lot of extremes and a lot of gray areas in this one, in particular.
I agree with that.
But do you guys think their morality in trying to always choose a good path, and doesn't this basically, or at least if they go that path, is that a weakness or a great strength to the party? Do you think that hinders them from options? Just based off what you've been seeing them, do you think they would be able to perform their tasks a lot better, more efficient, and for a Multa if they weren't bogged down by their own personal moralities? Or do you think because of their moralities is why they can think of other options, find alternatives, and give better solutions?
My 2 cents now, and well, it forces them to think of more solutions. That's always useful.
Yeah.
But
yeah, I agree with that.
The more time you think about the solutions, the less time you are working on them.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
Times against them on Thronekeeper.
Yeah, I feel like they need to be prepared to do things that are immoral at times, like assassinating a slaver or
Don't worry, they got other people for that.
Making deals with people that are at times probably unsavory or of the criminal element,
or even to some degree not necessarily the most competent.
Yes, but I think going against the status quo for their morality is a huge boon for them. Which is one of the reasons why I like the Runekeeper, because they try to think of solutions and ways to aid their country. It's not about them leading armies. It's not them fighting against bad guys. It's more of them going out there, talking to people, making connections.
It'll be more fun.
They could, but that's not the focus. Their focus is making connections, finding the right people, presenting ideas, and basically presenting perhaps changing policies. That is, I think, the whole point of Thronekeeper. Like, the whole point of the Kingmaker is making a kingdom, structuring that kingdom. And Regicide is straight up just killing.
Yeah.
Regicide
had a purpose. Yeah. Could have fooled me.
Yeah. So that is that's why I feel like what they're currently doing in the campaign is slow, but are progressing more and more and more. And I feel like eventually there's gonna be a big payoff with how much time they investigated, the connections they built, and once they present the information they have, it could fundamentally change Amolta. So that's a question I kind of want to ask everyone else in the Aurorum community, what they think about that question. So
to reiterate, because we've talked over it a whole lot, the question was,
do you think basically Thronekeeper's morality is a hindrance to their missions or a boon to their missions? Essentially, does it help them rethink other solutions, or because they might refuse to take certain paths, which gives more limit of options they have?
Right. So that's the question there. Do we really have anything else to say other than thank yous?
No, we can close out here. I'll let you do it this week.
Okay, well,
Steve.
Of course, because I just volunteered myself, but yes, thank you again to the casts for the entertainment they provide, and thank you to Scott for the work that he's made, and thank you for the people that listen.
Yeah, thank you, everyone. Hope you all have a great week.
Have a good one.
Bye.